Here's my secret, easy lucid dreaming technique. So today I'm going to let you in on a bit of a secret. It's my fundamental mindset, the reason I've been lucid dreaming since I was 5 years old. And I'm pretty certain that there are no other lucid dreaming teachers sharing this technique. And this is more than just a technique, it's an entire mindset shift. It will make you look at lucid dreams in a completely different way. So I guess that's a good place to start. What is a dream? Right, so a really good place to start if you want to learn how to lucid dream is to understand the fundamental difference between lucid dreams and non-lucid dreams. So what is that? Now, I suppose most people will just default to the easy, obvious answer, which is awareness, but that's actually not true. Let's take a look at some examples of non-lucid dreams. So non-lucid dreams all have one thing in common. Let's see whether you can guess what that is. So here are a few examples. So in one non-lucid dream, you might be on the moon having a really intense argument with an alien. Another, more down-to-earth dream, you might be at work and suddenly zombies invade and you're running for your life. Or it could be something a little bit more nostalgic. Maybe you find yourself in your childhood home and your grandparent is there and you're giving them a big hug because you miss them, because they died many years ago. Or for something completely mundane, your dream might go like this. You're running down the street because you're late to catch a train. Or it could be something really, really simple, like you're sitting around, watching YouTube, watching a video about lucid dreaming. So here are two questions for you. Were those dreams lacking awareness, and what did they have in common? Awareness. So if we're being honest, awareness isn't really the problem, because in those dreams you were aware of the zombies, aware of the alien, aware of your grandparent, etc. So if awareness isn't the problem, then what do non-lucid dreams have in common? Gullibility. So there's really no nice way of putting this, but most non-lucid dreams could equally be called gullible dreams, because you're just being really, really gullible and accepting everything that's happening to you. And that's not something to feel bad about. It doesn't mean that you're stupid. It's just the nature of sleep architecture, the architecture of REM. Because when you're in REM dreaming sleep, the part of your brain known as the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is mostly shut down. And that's the part of the brain that stops you from being so gullible. And just to be completely clear, gullible isn't the perfect word here, but it's pretty useful for what we're trying to talk about. You could equally say that the brain is being lazy with its assumptions. It's just accepting what's going on. In other words, you're not thinking critically and you're just gullibly accepting what you're faced with. Lucidity. So lucidity isn't really about awareness, it's about the opposite of gullibility, the opposite of lazy thinking, the opposite of assumptions. So if we are going to use the word awareness for lucid dreaming at all, then it's awareness about when you're gullible, awareness about when you're using lazy thinking. So it's a form of self-awareness regarding your psychological faults, or what psychologists call metacognition. And ironically, because it's mostly been forgotten, but this is exactly what lucidity means in a psychological context. It's about being present, thinking critically, clear thinking. Lucid about lucidity. So here's where lucid dreaming gets really quite weird, because when you think about it in terms of gullibility versus critical thinking, then the entire lucid dreaming world seems a bit bonkers, because there's lots of things out there that don't make any sense at all when it comes to inducing lucid dreams. So here's something I'd like you to do with your own lucid dream practice. Anything that you're doing to induce lucid dreams, whether it's a technique, whether it's dream journaling or anything else, I want you to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Do I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing? Because if you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, then there's really no point doing it. Because if you are, then you're doing exactly the same behavior that leads to non-lucid dreams, which is just assuming, just being gullible, accepting things on face value. And you have to be careful with this because the mind in general, just as it does in dreams, tends to be quite happy accepting simple answers, such as if you wiggle your fingers as you go to sleep, that will keep you aware. That sounds like a legitimate answer until you ask deeper, more probing questions. So lucid dreaming isn't about magical awareness, it's not about some altered state of mind, it's about being less gullible, being more prone to asking probing questions, being a little bit more skeptical, and not just accepting things on face value. The technique. Before we jump into the technique, I just need to say a quick thank you to my channel benefactors, the highest level of membership here on the channel. Thank you to DreamLeak7, Rog Geezer, Dreamer Dave, and Murat Yilmaz 8198. And if you'd like to be mentioned in the next video, hit the join button and choose channel benefactor. Okay, so let's jump into the technique. This is an incredibly easy technique because it only has one step. We've covered most of the basics already, but the step is this. It's a mindset shift. Stop being so gullible. Stop making assumptions. Catch yourself when you do those things. Start to think more critically more often. And this applies to absolutely everything because you can dream about anything. You can dream about watching a video about a lucid dreaming technique. Are you being gullible right now? Are you just assuming you're awake right now? This becomes a new way of thinking. Stop accepting things on face value and start asking more probing questions. And I'm being deadly serious here because this applies to absolutely everything you do, because you're trying to create a pattern interrupt whenever you default to lazy thinking. So if you're watching a video about a lucid dreaming technique, be critical about it. Don't just assume it's telling you the truth. Ask the difficult questions, analyze it, pull it apart. The more you do this, the more you'll start to think clearly, more lucidly in all of your life. And it just so happens that some of your life will be a dream. And when you do that in a dream, you've engaged your prefrontal cortex, you've engaged metacognition, and suddenly it becomes quite obvious. Hold on a second, this is a dream right now. Lucid dreaming is really very little to do with dreams and almost entirely to do with how you think. Are you someone who thinks clearly? Are you someone who thinks critically? And how often do you do that? So from now on, try to catch those moments where you're being gullible, where you're thinking lazily, where you're not really putting in that mental effort. And if you do that often enough, you will do it in your dreams and you'll become a lucid dreamer. And if you've enjoyed this video, you may enjoy one of the videos on the screen right now. I'll see you there.